Welcome, everyone, to the regular business meeting of the Board of School Trustees held in public here on July 29th, 2024. Item 1 will be, Item 2, 1.02, the Pledge of Allegiance. So if everyone could please rise, Ms. Basin will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 2 tonight, patrons' comments. There being none, we will move on to item 3, our consent agenda. Dr. Terrell, we do have, just to let you know, Mr. Babchick had another commitment this evening. Mr. Smith is on via virtual, so Mr. Smith is in attendance via his phone. So with that, we'll move on to item 3, the consent agenda. Dr. Terrell.
Thank you. For your consideration this evening, we have 3.01, the executive session minutes from 6:24, the regular business meeting minutes from 6:24, and our special work session from 7:17. We also have 3.02, the personnel agenda, 3.03, recommendation for employment of candidates, and then 3.04, our voucher registered checks as listed.
You've heard the recommendation of the recommendation of the administration. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Basin, second by Mr. Vassar. Question or discussion?
Is there, Mr. Key, is there anything left to be filled before? Anything left to be filled? Is there anything left to be filled before school begins?
We are still working on some paraprofessionals for certain. And I think one exceptional education teacher. We're trying to close the deal on.
Okay, sounds like it's gonna be a one mic night. That's okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't
That's me.
I'm scared to touch this thing right now. I'm sorry, some paras and,
One teacher, exceptional ed teacher.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries 3-0. 4 action items. Our first action item is 4.01, donation from Crown Point Community Foundation. Mr. Gianfermi.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you know, in the past, the Crown Point Community Foundation has been a staunch supporter of our school system and giving us different grants, but most of those grants have come in the line of individual grants that teachers kind of put in. This year, they approached us with a different proposition of supporting the school in just startup programming or programs that they could fund, which would affect in a more efficient manner as many students as possible. So a list was generated through our administration, central office, and building level administration, and the Crown Point Community Foundation has donated $28,000 for the following programs and elementary STEM programs for startup materials of $15,000, the 18 to 22-year-old programming for sensory and adaptive equipment for $8,000, and for our preschool program for gross motor and literacy supports at $5,000 for a total of $28,000. The administration recommends the acceptance of this $28,000 donation from the Crown Point Community Foundation.
You've heard the recommendation of the administration for the acceptance of the $28,000 donation from the Crown Point Community Foundation to support Crown Point School Corporation educational programming, including the elementary STEM programs, the 18 to 22-year-old programming, sensory and adaptive equipment, and the preschool gross motor and literacy support. May I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Vassar, second by Ms. Basin. Question or discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
4.02, Transportation Student Handbook Revisions and Adoption and Additions Approval. Mr. Kiwa.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President and board members. Much like the student handbooks that were approved a short time ago, the Crown Point Community School Corporation Transportation Department needed to update its student handbook. This ends up getting posted online as well. The changes are relatively minor. I mean, it's just Mr. Freeman's name is added, some contact information. I think there was one spelling error that was corrected in there as well. But because of the simplicity of this book rolling from last year to this year, we'd like to waive the reading of the handbook and approve the handbook with the suggested adjustments and additions.
You've heard the recommendation of the administration for the approval of the handbook and suggested additions and adjustments along with the waiving of the reading of that handbook. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Basin, second by Mr. Vassar. Question or discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. 4.03, the Centegex, is that how I said that? Centegex, thank you for the correction. Centegex agreement, Mr. Reese.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Tonight, we bring before you a 5-year agreement with Centegex. This agreement will cover the one-time cost for installation and also the 5-year annual, call it membership or services cost for that. The one-time costs are $89,650,000. The ongoing cost, approximately $95,700, we paid for from the operations fund. We recommend approval of the 5-year agreement with Centegex for safety and security response system.
You've heard the recommendation of the administration for the approval of the agreement with Centegex for safety and security response system. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Vassar, second by Ms. Basin. Question or discussion? I would just like to state, after seeing a presentation this evening on what Centegex has to offer, it is nothing but literally a no-brain decision to add this to our ongoing need and protecting our students on a daily basis and along with our staff and faculty. And this is a top-of-the-line model that I can tell you will do nothing but enhance that opportunity to keep our employees and our students safe. Any other questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Thank you. 4.04, maintenance and repair agreement with the City of Crown Point. Mr. Reese.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you're all aware, we entered into an agreement with the city regarding the construction of what on the first floor is going to be some storage and concession area for Colonel Wheeler Middle School. On the top second floor is going to be space for locker room and some official, if you will, space for the Bulldog Park recreational area. As part of that agreement, we agreed to come up with a maintenance agreement on how we handle the upkeep and care for that facility as being a standalone unit. We maintain control and ownership of the building, and then we'll bill the city on a quarterly basis for the care and upkeep for that facility. To give you a general think about it, is the space that's theirs, they're gonna take care of. The space that's ours, we're gonna take care of. The joint spaces, say like the roof, which would be for both parties, will be shared costs between the two. So with that, we're recommending approval of the maintenance and repair agreement with the City of Crown Point.
Thank you. You've heard the recommendation of the administration for the approval of the maintenance and repair agreement with the City of Crown Point regarding our locker room and storage building at Colonel John Wheeler Middle School. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Basin, second by Mr. Vassar. Question or discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. And last but not least, the action items, 4.05, the Crown Point High School Pool Mechanical Equipment Replacement Project. Mr. Reese.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you're probably aware, we've been limping along the mechanicals of our pool at the high school. We are approaching at this point the 22nd year of use for that high school pool, and a lot of the equipment, as you can imagine, with the chemicals that are processed through there, it is time to do a full overhaul of what I'm going to call the guts, the innards of the pool back in the back. So you may not see anything real fancy on the actual pool deck, but if you walk back behind the doors and walls of the mechanical area, you'll see some upgraded areas back in there. So we have bid out that process and have a bid that we are comfortable with from Spear Corporation. So we're recommending approval of the contract for the pool mechanical equipment replacement to Spear for $490,819.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. You've heard the recommendation of the administration for approval of the contract for the Crown Point High School Pool Mechanical Equipment Replacement to Spear Corporation in the amount of $490,819. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Vassar, second by Ms. Basin. Question? Discussion?
I assume all of our current mechanical equipment there is all original, correct? Like, have we had to replace anything?
There have been some replacements of the filtration system and things like that, and we've been, that's what we're gonna call like 5 to 10 year replacement cycles.
Okay.
This is a true full replacement of all of the guts of the pool, new UV filtration system, as we're doing with most of our construction projects, bringing it up to, what would say current, technology.
Perfect, thank you.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. Thank you. 5 on tonight's agenda is information and recognition items. 5.01, the superintendent's discussion groups. Mr. Vassar, anything to share from any of yours?
Nothing from Cedar Lake Redevelopment Commission.
Okay, likewise, I have nothing from Winfield. We'll move on to 5.02, Director of Grants and Assessments. Mr. Hardman.
Good evening. Thank you very much. As we approach the beginning of the school year, annually, all of our staff need to participate in what is called test security and integrity training that the state provides for us. And that consists of, and actually we're getting ready to send that out, that consists of reminding and training new teachers of the code of ethics and practices for, and procedures for administering the standardized test. And when I say standardized test, I'm talking about the SAT that's given, I'm talking about PSAT, I'm talking about iLearn. We have iLearn checkpoints, we have iRead. So there's a number of assessments that we are required to administer. And by September 30th, this training needs to be done. So this code of ethics and practices is a reminder. We also have material security that we have to be conscious of. So any kind of print material that comes into the building needs to be stored in a secure locked place, needs to be signed in and out, inventoried each and every day for that to occur. And so again, very tight security when we look at our materials. There's also monitoring that takes place. So we work with our principals to get into classrooms to monitor the testing environment. There's certain protocols and things they need to go through and check off, and then we have to have that documentation. In the event that we are monitored by the state, which is possible, we have never been monitored by the state yet, but as time goes on, you never know when that could happen, and we have to have the documentation of that kind of monitoring. And also, there is, last year, we actually had some parts of the audit that came in, and they were looking at some of the testing security documents that we needed to have, and we had to provide those, and so the monitoring of this is pretty extensive. After testing is done, there is a forensic analysis of all the test data. So for instance, if I take the test and it shows that I am changing my answers too often, then the state will contact Dr. Terrell, and Dr. Terrell will contact me, and then we will have to investigate what took place. Sometimes, and this actually happened a few years ago, it did entail interviews with the students and the teachers to see what was going on or what happened. Nothing came out of it. We were able to justify that process. But that takes place after the testing situation. And then also, we have to train our staff on how to report a breach in security. So for instance, if a cafeteria worker hears of students talking about maybe a test item that was shared across the class, that staff member needs to be able to know what the process is at that point in time to report this breach. And then there's, they would contact the school test coordinator, I would be contacted, and there's a report that needs to be, and then there's an investigation that follows that. And then finally, all of our staff member who go through the training do have to submit an agreement that they sign, and that they understand the essence of what this test security and integrity means. And if they violate it, I mean, there could be severe consequences even as far as their licenses are concerned. So this is a time that, again, we're preparing for the school year and preparing for the administration of the test. And we do remind staff, principals prior to the testing of this information, so they not only get it before September 30th when a test is going to be administered, the reminders of that test security is brought to their attention. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hartman.
You're very welcome.
5.03, Director of Elementary Education, and recently, instead of Mr. Chiquina, it is Dr. Chiquina, and congratulations on that recent accomplishment.
Thank you very much. It's been a big relief to have that off my shoulders, but, yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Angel. While I do not have everyone's name that took advantage of this opportunity, I do want to thank many elementary teachers who have dedicated themselves to some professional development, kind of over the second half of last school year and over these summer months. A couple different opportunities, one from the Indiana Learning Lab in partnership with Marian University. It's a science of reading course, about 30 hours, and then another opportunity that many of our teachers have engaged in over the summer is the Keys to Literacy course, which is up to 80 hours of professional development. I don't want to miss anyone's name, so I'm not going to read the names I do have, but we've had many elementary teachers who are dedicating many hours this summer to this professional development, and I really appreciate them taking their time and energy to learn and grow to best serve our students in the area of reading. Also, just really want to take a moment and thank our front office staff members and our custodians. They are working incredibly hard behind the scenes and on the phones and everything to make sure that registration's going smoothly and our buildings are ready to go. We have kindergarten kickoff happening at all of our buildings next week. So lots of nervous, excited 5-year-olds will be coming through our doors next week, and their parents, who are probably more nervous than the kids. But that's happening next week at all of our buildings, and then open houses will be happening the week after that as we gear up for another great year. Thanks.
Thank you, and again, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Director of Secondary Education, Mrs. Ramirez.
Thank you, Mr. President and board members. I just want to really give some kudos and some congratulations to our administrators at the building level. They have been in the throes of a series of leadership professional development over the summer, which has been really meant to help prepare for a successful kickoff to the school year, as well as will really drive the work that we're doing throughout the school year. And they are very committed to being welcoming, not only to our new families, to our returning families. They have a lot of plans in place in terms of open houses that are scheduled, family and parent nights that are happening, Bulldog Rush at the 8th grade level, at the 6th grade level, as well as at the 9th grade level. And so there are a lot of really great events that are happening that really show how tied into our community we are and how we want our parents and families to partner with us to make sure that students feel prepared, that parents feel prepared as well. And so I think as you look at websites and or their newsletters, you will be very well informed of all the great happenings that are coming up. And I also want to thank our technology team and our buildings for really working in collaboration to support registration and making sure that that was as seamless a process as possible, and for being solid problem solvers and working together to navigate all things that are kind of still a little new in Power School. So thank you for that. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Ramirez. Director of Exceptional Education, Mrs. Paskus.
Good evening, Mr. Angel, members of the board. Just wanted to provide an update and some appreciation to our team here at this building. Today we had 14 new exceptional education staff members in this room most of the day, and people are coming from different districts. Some are brand new, and they have been so impressed by what we do here to onboard new staff. And so I just appreciate the ability to spend money in that way and front load these folks before they get started on their first day. Most have remarked they've never experienced anything like it. So thank you to Mr. Akiwa and his team. And I have to thank Brian Gill, because he has had to pinch hit several times to come in and help us with technology. So just wanted to share a thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Paskus. There's a reason they don't give me a smart board and any more technology other than this laptop. Assistant Superintendent, Mr. Gianfermi.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, before I get into anything else, I just want to thank all those people sitting along the wall, the curriculum instruction team And Miss Allen Nectar, our Director of Communication. There are no dog days of summer here at Central Office. Unofficially, the new teachers showed up last week, and they are putting in a lot of work to help those people prepare. And beyond that, all the administrators and the building level folks just getting ready for the school year. So we are on. We are getting ready even before the Lake County Fair hits town. So they're working so hard. Thank you all for all your hard work. I also want to thank Mr. Coulson, our Supervisor of Safety and Security. He took the time to, with myself, meet with every Crown Point police officer over the course of last week, Tuesday and Thursday. We invited them in as they came off their shift or were going on their 12-hour shift, so some of them were a little less excited than the others, but we were able to feed them breakfast and talk to them about everything that we do in our schools, with the goal of being that if they do have to respond to an emergency, they know the protocols that are being taught to the teachers and the staff in the school, and it's just something that opens up that communication and also gives them, the thank you that they do for us. So thank you, Mr. Coulson, and thanks to the Crown Point Police Department for participating in that.
Thank you, Mr. Gianfurdi. 5.07, Chief Human Resource Officer, Mr. Kiwa.
Thank you, Mr. President and board members. In a similar fashion here, I need to thank all those folks on the back wall too. Our new teacher academy is up and running, and it's just amazing the amount of talent that we have inside of our school corporation to introduce our new staff members to the way we do things here in Crown Point, to kind of help them find their groove, as I say, sooner rather than later. It's pretty impressive. However, beyond that, all the talent that we put in front of them and in all of our sessions, behind the scenes, there's some folks that are just doing some amazing things as well. Particularly food service, and I'm just going to let Matt will pick this up and run with it here in a little bit, but our food service department is busy right now. There's so many trainings and events and things going on, and what they do to make us all feel good when we get together in these big sessions is nothing short of spectacular. So thank you to Christine and her crew. And also, while this configuration is sitting in front of us right now here, there's going to be a group of folks that are going to come in and change the way this room looks for tomorrow morning, and not just this room, but every room in here. So to Sherry and Gwen and their crew that come in here at night, and not only do they clean the place, but they change the way things look, and they make it look exactly how we want it to look for every session. They're just amazing folks. So our love and appreciation goes out to Sherry, Gwen, and that custodial staff here as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Akiwa. 5.08, Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Reese.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to build upon what Mr. Akiwa mentioned about food service. You were here for State of the Schools. They put together that entire spread and breakfast, along with the new teacher breakfast, the professional development sessions already mentioned tonight. They are preparing some breakfast and lunch virtually every day around here, and we can't thank them enough for doing that and introducing our new staff and the community to what we have to offer. It's really pretty special. I'd also like to give a thank you to the technology staff. We completed the Power School, our student information system rollover, in 15 minutes this year. We were up and done, and just a nice change of pace, I think, for all of them to get that rollover where it used to take a day or two. We're talking about 15 minutes. So that was a nice change of pace as we're looking back on that transition we made over last summer. With that, they have a big task in front of them, the new teacher laptops you approved a month or so ago. Those are now all in, and they've set up meetings with all the new teachers that come in, or they can get them on the first week of school when the teachers are back. And on top of that, we also have the Chromebooks for the K-5 and 9th graders as we replace those units as well. So those two staffs quite busy, and I don't think we need to mention buildings and grounds and what's going on in all the buildings right now, as you've gone through. So great staffs doing great work as we prepare for August 13th and the teachers arriving. It's pretty special to be a part of, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. Director of Communications, Mrs. Allen, I'm sure she's got some stuff she's been going through here.
Hi, good evening. We are in the thick of back to school season, so over the next couple of weeks, our team is at a couple of community events, just connecting with parents and community members. We were at the Crown Point Farmers Market last Saturday. We'll be there again this week. On Wednesday at 10 a.m., we are partnering with the library for story time at Bulldog Park. Dr. Terrell is reading a story about a school bus driver, and we will be bringing a school bus. So that should be fun. And next week, we are at the City of Crown Point's National Night Out event. The week after that, we'll be at the senior programming to hand out event passes to residents 62 and older. And then finally, this is the last week to sign up for our facilities tour that we're hosting next week. The information's on our website. We have about 20 community members so far. We're gonna take a bus and visit 5 spots in the district. It has a magic school bus theme, so it's a field trip for grown-ups. Very excited about that.
Any questions? Brooke, what's the deadline for applications and submissions for our ambassador program?
Soon, we have 3 spots left.
Okay,
And the
all right.
program's full.
All right, so just of those community members that might have heard about that program and are still interested, you've heard it, we have 3 spots left. Thank you.
Brooke, can you hang on just a second? Go ahead.
Okay. 5.10, Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Terrell.
So I'm gonna ask Brooke to help me out with a portion of mine, and she's gonna hate me for doing this, and that's absolutely fine. Brooke, tell us a little bit about the awards that we recently received that were a result of your work, but also many others who obviously help with those things as well. So if you would, share those with us tonight.
We received 4 national awards this year from the School Public Relations Association. 3 of them are for pieces or things that we've created. Our Super Things video series, our Capital Improvement Projects webpage, and our district brand book all won a Tactics Award. And then the Ambassador Program received a Golden Achievement Award, sorry, I had to remember it, which honors strategic communications initiatives.
So while Brooke did a lot of the work, especially on the ambassador program, everybody that you see in the room tonight present in those and help with that as well. Our students and staff members with the super things, so there's just a lot of things that come together, but Brooke, thank you for your work in those areas. Also, I would like to just give a brief construction update. I know we've got some parents out there, especially if you're a parent of students who may be going to Solon. I know that as you drive by, you're wondering, is this really going to work 2 weeks from Wednesday when kids roll in the building? Yes, it will, and we're gonna be in a good spot. The bus parking lot will be finished, as will the areas around the school. If you guys will recall, last year at this time, it wasn't Solon, but it was several other buildings, and so Lake Street as well is in a really good spot. Solon on the outside, looks like all kinds of stuff going on inside. It's amazing how many of the classrooms are actually ready to go and in a really good spot. So pay attention to updates you'll be receiving from your building principals, also to our website, to your buildings' websites, as they'll be posting updates as well as we get closer to school year, even with some of the information that Dr. Chiquina mentioned, as we look at our kindergarten roundups and times for the kids to be in the buildings as well. And just pay attention to those for the latest information.
Thank you, Dr. Terrell. Item 6 tonight, other business of the board. I know I'd just like to mention, we did have a work session that was open to the public a week ago Wednesday? 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago Wednesday, discussing just policies and things that, that's the format that the state allows us to meet with the group to discuss those things. So very positive feedback from all sides included. Still some follow-up included on that. And when some of that finishes, we'll relay that information to the public. Any other board business? No? Okay, we'll move on to item 7, our board statements of appreciation and recognition, 7.01. Mr. Vassar, anything this evening?
Nick, I'd like to just say again to you, congratulations. And it's all because of that Butler education, isn't it? Even though you chose the wrong fraternity, you chose the right university. Congratulations, Nick.
Ms. Bazin?
I would just like to echo that, Dr. Chiquina. That's an amazing accomplishment, and I can't even imagine doing that with the extreme workload of everything that you've done with your new role here, transitioning to that, having a family at home. So we definitely appreciate your continued commitment to bringing the best you can to your role here. So thank you for that. I also want to say We had the opportunity to attend the State of the Schools breakfast a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago maybe at this point. And to see this room, I mean, we've been in each piece of the room, but to see the whole thing opened up, the way food service took care of the breakfast was absolutely amazing. I've been to many events across the business world and everything, and this literally rivaled some of the best that I've seen. So that is amazing. A lot of that is the effort of those folks organizing. I didn't even really recognize or think about the custodial staff that's making sure the room is assembled that way. And food service did an outstanding job doing that. Obviously, your guys' planning of that. And then our students and families who spoke at the event. It was really wonderful. I loved the format of getting to hear from students in the buildings on their take of different parts of our 6 Cs. So that was really wonderful. Thank you for putting that together.
I have a couple this evening. First of all, to Artie's staff, Jeannie Lang and all those involved, I don't want to miss names, but I know she was behind it, and the food staff for the new teachers' breakfast that was last Wednesday. And it's just amazing to see those teachers that are with us come and back for that at the tables with those new teachers and see the excitement on their faces and, you know, kind of put names with faces in those situations. So welcome to all them and best success with all them. And then the team behind the scenes that planned this building out the way they did, to kind of echo Ms. Basin's thoughts, to have a kitchen here to where nothing needs to be transported, everything can be done right here, and to the quality that it is done is just amazing. So kudos to everybody that was involved in that decision. Some would say, well, why do you need a kitchen and administration building? Well, I think just based on what was said here tonight, proof in the pudding, so to speak. And last but not least, to our football team, which I was just made aware of, that was doing some cleanup at Lake Street in their little yard area there with helping trees, clean up the place and all that. And those kids our students, athletes, earn their community service hours by doing so. So kudos to Coach Buzz, and what he's put in there is not just being athletes and students, but also helping out in the community. So thank you to all those that were involved in that today. And Mr. Babjack will be a little sad that he missed this meeting tonight because we're pretty close to a record for a summer meeting. So with that, I will look for a motion to adjourn. And that's on the time, nothing more.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Bazin, seconded by Mr. Vassar. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, carries 3-0. Thank you.